When I first started my credit card journey, I knew nothing about credit cards. I applied for the best opportunity at the time, and 5 years later, that card is now closed and I will never use that company again. That's why today we're gonna talk about how beginner credit cards compare to general credit cards, what you should look for in a beginner credit card, the things you should do before applying to your first credit card, and then lastly, I'm going to give some recommendations on great beginner credit cards for you. Before we get started, if you're thinking of opening a store credit card, for example, Target Circle, Kohl's, Macy's, don't do it. That limits you from what you can actually spend on the credit card, and you only can purchase items from that store. So you're about to start your credit journey, or you just started your credit journey. You already know credit cards are a great place to start building your credit, but you want to know the differences between beginner credit cards and experienced borrowers credit cards. Well, to start, beginner credit cards typically will have a higher interest rate. So since they don't know how well you are at borrowing their money, they're going to give you a higher interest rate in case you don't pay your statement balance in full, so that you will owe them money and they can charge you money and make more money off of you. In general, credit cards are going to have an intro offer, but after the intro offer for a beginner credit borrower on a credit card, you will have a higher interest rate on the credit card. Another difference is some beginner credit cards don't have as many rewards that you can get on, say, a credit card that you pay an annual rate for. A prime example of this is my Discover It secured card only offers 1 to 2% cash back. This is compared to my Discover It cash back that offers me between 1 and 5% cash back, which is a lot more than just 2% would be. The last difference between a beginner credit card and a more experienced borrower's credit card is that they are more focused on building credit. So the credit cards that you would get as a beginner is more tailored to you building credit, whereas an experienced borrower might be more tailored to what they're planning on doing with their money. What should you look for when looking for a beginner credit card? You need to look for no or low annual fees, low minimum credit score requirements, meaning that if you have low or no credit, you can apply to these and almost guaranteed get approved. Simple reward structures, flexible credit limits, meaning that your credit limit can change as you grow in your credit journey. Like they can increase it for you. And then you want to look for high approval odds for you specifically. The things I myself prioritize the most are going to be no or low annual fees, the credit score requirements, and the approval odds. You don't typically want to apply for a card if you can't get approved for it, because it'll impact your credit score. If you know you can get approved for a card, then go ahead and apply for it and get it. A good way to minimize the risk in this is a lot of credit card companies will offer you a pre-qualification for a credit card to where you don't have to impact your credit score to see if you could get pre-qualified for one of their credit cards. Before you apply to a credit card, these are the steps that you need to follow. First, you need to know what your credit score is. You can do this by checking Experian or Credit Karma. There's also a website called annualcreditreport.com that will give you one free credit report a year. Second, you need to make sure that you're in a good financial situation. That way you're not overspending on your credit card and you can make sure that you pay your statement balance in full. And if you aren't, I would recommend holding off on getting a credit card until you feel more stable in your financial situation so that you don't end up owing interest or missing payments on your credit card, because that will ruin your credit history and your credit score. Lastly, make sure you do your research. Now, later in this video, I'm gonna mention a few credit cards that I would recommend. If you don't wanna go with those options, that is not a problem. But just make sure that you find a credit card that's gonna fit your needs for what you're looking for and ensuring that you're gonna be successful on your credit journey yourself. Finally, the credit cards that I would recommend. Now, all of these credit cards are credit cards that I've used or are currently using, and I would recommend them to anyone. So this first one is one of the longest cards that I've had in my credit journey, and it is definitely one of my favorites because I can use it every single month on my groceries and I get 3% cash back every time I use it. So this card is gonna be your Capital One Savor One card. So some benefits of this card is that it has no annual fee. It offers 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and groceries, as well as popular streaming services. And then on everything else, you're gonna get 1% cash back. And then this company also does a pre-approval where there's no impact to your credit score to see if you can get the card. Check down below for links to all of these credit card options. It'll take you directly to the company's site, and then if you want to, you can fill out the pre-app and they will get you squared away. Also, at this point in time, if you don't mind, please throw me a like, hit the subscribe button if you'd like, and there will be more videos for you. This next card is a card I opened 2 years ago. This card is the Discover It Cashback credit card. It's a little different. I use it quarterly because the rewards for it change quarterly. So January through March is a different reward than it would be April through June. So right now in Q2, April through June, this card is offering 5% cash back on gas stations, electric charging stations, public transit, and home improvement stores. Some benefits of this card is that it has no annual fee, it has quarterly changes to what you can get 5% cash back on, and then everything else is gonna be 1% cash back on. And then this company will also offer a pre-approval so that you're not impacting your credit score to see if you can qualify for the card. Lastly, this was the second credit card that I got. This is the Discover It Secured card. Now, this one's a little bit different than the last two that I mentioned. The reason that it is different is because you have to place a deposit down on the credit card to get the credit card in the first place. And then after a few months, they'll review your account and see how good of a borrower you are. And then they'll give you your deposit back. For me specifically, this took 7 months to get my deposit back. All I did was I put $500 down, and then 7 months later, they sent me my $500 back because I made sure I made my payments on time every month. Some benefits of this card is that it does not have an annual fee, just like all of the rest of them. This card is gonna offer 2% cash back on gas stations and restaurants. And then it typically also offers an introduction offer that will be a year's match of whatever cash back you get in your first year. So if you make $100 in cash back in your first year, Discover is going to match that and double it and give you an additional $100 back. So in total, you're going to have $200 back in cash. And then, like I mentioned for the previous card, Discover does have a pre-approval process to see if you would qualify for any of their unsecured options. However, if for any reason you can't, the secured option is always a safe way to go. Some other credit cards I've used Chase, I've used US Bank, Pedal, and AMX. So now that you know where to get started, the next video you should watch is this one here.